Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scotland and Bell.
It's fun, we were laughing and doing some serious stuff right before we started recording for the radio show. We were going on journeys without time and space being involved. So we were operating knowing things from the Hugh Expansionary Academy, from the worlds above the void, and from those realities that most people on earth and religions dare not speak of, or do not know about, or don't want to because they're afraid to, subconsciously. And I don't blame them. They've grown up in a world where they have not really no other choice. This earth, when people grow up here, they don't grow up learning about other worlds and the beings on them, or the technology, or healing genomes, or being free of disease, or living 1,000 years or more, and being able to get in and out of their body. See, that's normal for most of the universe. The people on earth don't even know yet is out there already. Earth is in for some big changes because people here are going to have to find that out before they're going to be allowed to play out there. I'm saying something essentially basic in the omnipresent living energy that supports and maintains the whole creation. That void in space out between planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies is vast, and it is energy. It's not a nothing. It's just not nuclear atomic. It's not atoms and molecules and electrons. It's an energy behind all that. And those things create little worlds and float in it. Right outside the atmosphere of the planet is divine spirit. People don't even know it. That's what they're praying to. So heaven is beyond the earth, isn't it? But not just out there, in higher dimensions of out there. People on earth, as unconscious as they are, as misdirected as they are right now, including the world's leaders, hidden and classified, religious leaders and all have the potential, under the right conditions, to remember the source from whence they once came and how to co-create with it properly. That is the training and the reason we exist. Running bodies is not who we are. Bodies in any form on any planet, any dimension, is not who we are. Those are made of molecules and higher time rates of molecules in different realities. There is a dual current that runs through the lower dimensions of time and space, positive and negative. Everybody knows it. The energies in the void and above it in the upper realities in the multiverse are not comprised of a dual energy. And down deep, everybody knows that too. But they're terrified to remember it. And I'll tell you why. To remember that we can comprehend what people call the Supreme Being, which is not a guy sitting on a throne dictating things. It's not someone we're supposed to pray to. It's someone we're supposed to respect, and each other. That's divine love. It isn't about praying to something to get things from something else. It's about having the fiery creative drive to bring into reality through our imagination new ways of doing things for the benefit of all life and bringing it back to the source from whence we once departed long ago. That's why we're here. Underneath it all, and fear of taking on the responsibility that goes with freedom and co-creating with the source is what's holding people back. Nothing else. On any planet, in any race, out among the stars, in any galaxy, in any dimension, particularly in the lower worlds, physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, below what the void is that some esoteric groups know about on Earth. That's where the problem is. People are running bodies in those different planes, and they've long forgotten that that's what they're doing. So your higher selves are not really helping you here like they should be. They're not even helping themselves. They have their own fears in each of those planes, these higher heavens below the void. Those forms need to be awakened. In other words, the being, which is spherical, what people call soul, is round. It has structure. It has levels. There are different faculties in each of these levels. And they have different radiant colors and sound that come out of them. Each single drop, each individual, from an ocean of such things, far above the void, is where we all still exist. Because that isn't part of time and space. The energy is pure positive. There is no worlds and planets and moons and stars and suns and molecules. It is energy, but not as it's remembered by people on Earth. Even by a lot of races out among the stars are just beginning to remember what that energy is like. Above the void, beings from other worlds that can travel clear across other galaxies also learn through anti-gravitic technology, let's call it that. Working with that one energy out between planets and moons and suns and stars and galaxies, that they must work within harmony in order to go faster than the speed of light, for instance, to get around the universe, to get around the laws of gravity, physical matter. They have to work with energy that is not that. And it's all around us. On Earth, they call it 0 point or toroidal energy, the energy of the universe. And it's magical and wondrous because when we start to work with it, that one power provides us with the means we need to get around. Devices are built that channel it so that we don't pollute or use energy. We just move it through our vehicles to get from here to there. Nothing's used. That's a whole different way of living when you're running bodies on different planets, to think this way. Normal beings understand and grow up comprehending the multiverse. The craft that they run in and what they do, by the nature of creating their own electromagnetic field around a vehicle, moving it this way, moving it that way, will change the molecular time rate of the atoms that make up that craft. And they suddenly disappear from here and see into a parallel dimension, another reality within the physical universe with planets and people and things on it. And they learned over time how to circumnavigate going between these levels. Within the physical universe are numbers of levels. That's higher science. And they can only get from this parallel dimension to this one, or from this galaxy to this one, working with the energy that's between all of that. Once people on Earth begin to understand the simplicity of this, and they begin to respect each other and life on other worlds and life in the different realities, the doors open for them to play in it, because then they can be trusted to be kind and be benevolent and to have the right motivation for why they create, for the right reason. Okay. To me, there's only one way to use the creative imagination. That is not made up in the brain of a human body. Never is, never will be. The being running the body is what imagines. Imagination in that sense is actually seeing and perceiving into other realities through this energy between all things, which is not limited by time and space, speed of light, or gravity, or gravitational waves. It is the energy that supports all that. So we go into that energy, we understand how the molecular universe works, how to get from here to there, then we're able to build our technology to do it within limitations. Physical craft go between physical planes within the physical universe. They do not go into the astral plane. There are craft in that next dimension made of that matter that fly around that universe. In history of creation, there's only a few races that ever built craft that could move between those major divisions. And they're not known to people on Earth at all. And they're not known among the stars and the spacefaring races for the most part either. But they exist. And they're in our universe now. And they are, in a sense, responsible for younger races to help them get over fear and trauma. Can't just let Earth blow up like Maldek did millions of years ago in our own solar system. It's an asteroid field circling around the planet where a planet once was. It didn't just miraculously appear there. All this rubble that makes up a planet circling the sun, it didn't just come out of, I don't know, failed planets or something like that. It was blown up. Planets move around the sun at very high speed relative to people on Earth walking around. If it's blown up, some of them get out, they hit Mars, ruin the atmosphere, hit Earth, start flipping its poles. They do all kinds of things. But eventually it'll spread out in its centripetal and centrifugal forces, if I'm saying that right, to where the sun's gravity and the momentum will stretch it out into an asteroid field, and then it starts to circle the sun. That was a planet in our solar system that was destroyed. There were people on it. Where do you suppose those people went to get new bodies when they lost them suddenly? How about your backyard? Where do people go when the poles flipped and Lemuria was destroyed? And most of Atlantis, which was a colony. Not the one Edgar Cayce talked about. That was much later. That grew into a seafaring power from a volcanic island that remained above ground when continents sank and new ones rose from the seafloor. The polar cycle flips is highly classified. There are people in classified areas on Earth that know this happens. They don't want to tell people. They're afraid of it. They don't understand it. Same as they don't want to tell people about extraterrestrials they know about because they're afraid of what will happen if they do. It's their own fear that keeps them from doing the right thing. This planet and its people is at a point where it can play among the stars. People don't know it, as unconscious and backward as people are misdirected on this Earth. They're actually in a position right now, certain things happen that are unexpected on this planet. So they can choose to accept the help from fellow beings from other worlds, and then this place can take off. But not before that. You're not going to have China and Russia and the United States and other countries going out in space competing over resources. That's the illusion. You're not going to have people going out there in rocket ships because they'll never go fast enough. And you're not going to have the technology freely available and be able to pilot such craft lying to everybody on Earth while you're doing it. It is a conflict of interest with the energy that exists outside the atmosphere of this planet. That energy won't tolerate it. The beings that play in that energy will not tolerate it. The only reason this place hasn't blown up in nuclear war is because beings from elsewhere stopped it. They don't want to run the governments here. Nobody in their right mind would want that job. But they want to wake people up here so they can go out responsibly and play among the stars. If you're going to go out there in reverse engineered anti-gravity craft and all that, faster than the speed of light, you're going to run headlong into beings far more advanced all over the universe. And most of them are kind, not all, but most. And if you run into them, you're not going to start throwing all your crap you learned on Earth on them, religions, political, or anything else, because it will not fit. We need to learn from them. And they're kind enough to provide that technology and learning if we can be trusted and responsible with it. That's all there is to this great mystery of extraterrestrials and where we're headed. There's not going to be any Star Trek in the future with radioactive warp core driven warp drives because that's outlawed out there. It's polluting and dangerous. They don't use energy that way. People on Earth need to come up to understand this. People who are controlling things now on the planet know they have to disclose all this about extraterrestrials to everyone. They've been told it directly from beings from elsewhere. And why? They're going to have to do it. It's for their own benefit. The way this is coming about unexpectedly isn't about, lining up people and shooting them for having lied to everybody all this time, because everybody on Earth is operating from subconscious fear, and they should not be. So something has to be done so they can let go of that. All the people on Earth. Because then there's no conflict of interest to harmonize a world, an entire culture. There's nothing wrong with the religious beliefs people have, but they should be actual and direct experiential, not just faith. That's the missing key here. The missing word, the missing first sound isn't in those religions. Not yet. That is a liberating way to connect to the one energy that supports all life for any being on any world, anywhere. Once they cross paths with it, once they learn about it, it begins to provide a protection and a way for people to let go of one thing, subconscious habit and fear of the great unknown. They're capable of understanding that great unknown, but not as long as fear is in the way. Fear is negative. It creates and inspires people to imagine negative things. Those negative things go out into the universal energy that surrounds our planet and tells it what to create for us. It is a co-creator with us. So instead of just praying to it selfishly to favor your religion over another or one politics over another, we work with it to get it to liberate who we are as beings, not bodies. And then we can start making correct, co-creative decisions on this planet for the well-being of all life. And not just the well-being of life on Earth, the well-being of life in the multiverse. This is a big next step for people on Earth. It's happening out in our universe already, in our galaxy and others. And Earth is next. No, I don't worry about the future whatsoever. I don't worry about nuclear war whatsoever. I don't worry about China taking over or Russia or the United States whatsoever. Because the destiny of this world is not what they think it is. Not anymore. So we're headed into a new era. We have to start to play ball with the beings who don't work this backward way and have it for millions, even hundreds of millions, even billions of years, because they can show us how to do it, how to set this planet free, how to make it move into the stars, how to play among the stars, how to get out of their bodies, how to find out what the universe is about before a body dies. That's what people on Earth should be doing right now. That's what people on Earth could be doing right now. Attachment to power and money, that wastes lifetimes. It's an illusion. I mean, as far as I know, there's no culture on Earth that has gold or silver or precious metals behind any of the money. People are conditioned to exchange it for things, so they do it. There's no real value to it other than what people agree that it is. On other worlds, they've gotten over this problem, or they would not have survived the difficult times they went through. So we should learn from them. Not asking, none of them I know that I work with are asking anybody to give up their turnover, their run of their planet to other worlds. They're not doing that. They're asking us to grow up, treat each other right, and take our place among the stars. Nothing could be simpler. Fear is the only thing now in the way of all that. That's it. And it's artificial. It's not a natural human emotion. People just believe it is. It can only create negative repercussions in space-time. On the other hand, imagining wonderful new ways of doing things with those beings who are doing it, and it's headed our way, can also create that instead of annihilation. The usual flipping of Earth's poles that has taken place psychically in recent years was stopped permanently. People on Earth don't even know this. Classified people don't even know it. They suspect it, though. It means we won't go into another golden age to iron age and back again like has been the pattern for this planet. People on Earth did not do that. It was done from outside this planet. So we have a chance here to grow up and play among the stars. And this is very simple. when we go on these journeys, I work with the first half of the word human as it's known on planet Earth, because it sets up a certain doorway through the pineal gland in the center of the brain of a physical body. The being running that body then connects telepathically to that void of space between all things, and that connects up through the dimensions to the source itself. It is the first sound, the missing word, in spiritual and religious literature on Earth. It's not a written word. It's the one life force suspending all things in it, supporting all things. And it only has one motivation: to get us to co-create properly with it. Because we are drops of this pure kind of energy, individuals, in a mighty ocean of it. That's never going to change, no matter what anybody believes or does. It is what and who we are. Remembering and recovering that is what enlightenment is. Imagine someone you respect and love and you're grateful they are in your life. Person, place, or thing, but genuine. Meaning, when you first imagine it, it makes you smile inside. You feel good, peaceful, in serenity of being. Serenity of being is far beyond what you would call bliss or emotional ecstatic up energy. It's far beyond it. It's a natural state of awareness of an individual Atma, unfettered by any fear, consciously or subconsciously. Meditation, in its highest form, is so a person can turn off the mind and emotions and subconscious negative impulses, so it can leave the body and go into the other realities and experience its nature, its co-creative purpose for existing with the source. This is the purpose of it. When the mind and emotions are still, we become dynamically, creatively, imaginatively active. We have to imagine or remember how to imagine what the other worlds and other dimensions are like, because we carry a memory of it stored in our real true nature as a being. What beings in other worlds call Atma, spherical. What people on earth know of as soul, without really knowing what it is round. Planets and moons and suns and stars are patterned after their creators. Hint. Look at this. Ponder it for a moment. Why are they round? Why were they made like that? A spherical form can create its own gravitational warp in another energy that supports it, that is not nuclear, atomic in nature. No protons, no electrons, no neutrons. That energy in the void of space, other than little bits of matter that float in this vast other energy, is not nuclear or atomic in nature at all. Understanding this zero point or toroidal energy is what makes it possible for planets and people to advance technologically, spiritually, socially, between other worlds and themselves, which is required, mandatory. If we're to play among the stars with others more advanced, we have to know, they have to know, that we can be kind and trustworthy and be able to be relied upon when we make agreements to bring technology to Earth or to liberate disease or do whatever they're going to do. It cannot be done through 50 or 500 different governments on a planet who don't get along, who are competing to get resources from other worlds. It's not going to work. It just isn't. What are we doing when we hew? What am I doing? Well, it's telepathic. This is not a psychic thing, even though the dictionary may say so. It actually is lumped in there because people didn't know what to do with it. It is not psychic. Psychic energies deal with the positive and negative currents that weave back and forth between each other in the lower dimensions of time and space. The energy behind and supporting all that goes into the upper realities, pure positive energy, is not positive and negative. We link telepathically into that. When I do this, it's helping you put your body to sleep, which all of you do every night anyway, without effort, unconsciously for the most part. You're putting the body in a trance state, so blood will work, heart will work, lungs will work while you're gone, every single night. People on Earth are not taught this at all growing up. So they don't have any confidence or don't use their higher capabilities or faculties to be consciously aware of what they're doing, or how, more importantly, how to bring back what they were doing and download it into the physical brain and body that's asleep, that doesn't have any of this information or experience in it and didn't grow up learning any of it. How can someone on Earth who grows up learning what pitiful stuff is taught to people here, theories and speculation and belief only, how can they grow up knowing with any certainty who they are, what they're capable of, or that they aren't and never have been a physical body in the first place? Pretty tough growing up on Earth. Yet it doesn't change the truth of what and who we are. Underneath all that unconscious amnesia is a shining spherical energy, and it comes from the source behind all life, and it is comprised of exactly the same energy as that source on a smaller scale. This is truth. It cannot be denied by those who know. Earth and its people are heading into a new direction, a direction which is already changed out among the stars, among the races there. And Earth is next. Fortunately, or all life on Earth would be gone already in nuclear holocaust. The beings I work with are the beings you work with. You may not be aware of it, but when you get out of your body at night, you go somewhere and meet with beings. They could be as unconscious as people on Earth, even worse or far better, depending upon where your focus of imagination is when you go to sleep. Because that will tell this one energy supporting all things where to take you and what to do. It is a co-creator with individuals like us. It is the one power that brings all things into manifestation we imagine into it, good or bad, or both. So the need to be consciously aware of what we imagine and choose to imagine and why is what mastery in the most important and uppermost important thing is in living any existence on any world, running any body at any time. If we imagine into this one energy liberation from unconsciousness and amnesia, if we imagine being free from what was done to us by tyrants before we were sent to this planet with no memory, then that one energy will work with you in this matter. It is a fact. So I will send out the hue to assist you to put your body to sleep just like you do every night anyway, without effort. Only you remain consciously listening to my voice. It's not the voice you hear through the microphone through Zoom. It's the voice I'm sharing with you, one spherical being to another. And then we go on a journey above or outside the atmosphere of Earth as beings. Why? To get outside the negatively compacted positive and negative feelings and thoughts that circulate inside the atmosphere of planet Earth and are kept within it, bouncing off the ionosphere like a radio wave does to get around the curvature of the Earth. So we operate in the one energy out in space that things float in, where you cannot put negative and positive thoughts and emotions into. You can't record it there. It's not that kind of energy. But it will co-create with you, liberating and recovering your awareness of who you are, what you knew at the beginning before the worlds of time and space were even made. It can't be put more simply than this on any world. So we go out there, and this sets up putting the physical body, astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies you're running on higher heavens, let's call it, below the void, living lifetimes that you were made to forget or can't remember for whatever reason. But you're still doing it as a single spherical being. You're running physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, 5 forms on 5 different vibrational levels, all below the void. And it makes sense that those higher aspects of yourself should be awake and aware of each other and you on Earth. Because higher energy to change things on Earth comes through those doorways from the one being that is not time and space that's running them. This is difficult, perhaps, for people on Earth to get fully conscious of when they've never been taught it growing up. But remember this, you all knew it once somewhere long ago, even if you were made to forget it. That means that each of you as a being running a body has it stored somewhere, not in the brain that grew up in this life without any of that training, but in you that's running that body, that brain through the pineal gland, the center of the brain. This is how it is. I'll continue the hues to help you get all those forms of sleep so that you as a spherical being can take your attention off running those bodies, off the fear and negativity you may have on Earth. It's turned off, and we get help from other beings to make sure it stays turned off while you go on one of these journeys. So when you come back, you're going to be downloading the journey into that brain and body that does not have it there. A writer can't write about other worlds and other galaxies from the brain they grew up with on Earth. People on Earth don't realize this. Daydreaming is the ability to see into other realities. When you're bored or idly, you're looking somewhere else out your physical eyes and you're walking around the daytime or sitting in a classroom and you see somewhere else with your eyes open or closed. It's not the brain and body seeing that. It's not the brain and body that writes about being in another galaxy or about being in a parallel dimension or leaving their body. The being on Earth is doing this unconsciously through daydreaming. And they're actually plugging into the past time track, other worlds, or other realities in order to bring that advanced, complex, whatever that adventure was, to this life and write about it. They get into a trance state where the body's kind of almost asleep and they write feverishly. I know I go through it. And they bring in all this stuff. That's how the Sayre's Agenda and the Emerald Doorway and the Parallel Time Trilogy books were written. Consciously, co-creatively, to bring deliberately hidden truth through them as doorways for people on Earth for their benefit. There's no political agenda associated with it whatsoever. No religious agenda associated whatsoever. It's mostly associated with that which exists in the greater, what people call the Supreme Being, out among the stars and in the other dimensions where most of what they think God is, vastly beyond what's on this earth. People on Earth have the ability to comprehend this, but they first need to recover what they once knew, that they were made to forget. And fear is in the way of that. And that you can just let go of by putting your attention somewhere other than that habit. That's the beginning of the process. I'll continue these hues and then we'll go on a journey. Hue, hue, Putting through the hue out into the universe, which was never created or brought to this earth or created on earth by any individual or organization. It wasn't created in our solar system. It didn't get created in the Milky Way galaxy or the Andromeda galaxy or the astral plane. It came into existence at the beginning from the source before the lower worlds of time and space were created to float in it. Each individual running a body is not comprised of time and space, DNA, or molecules. Bodies and brains do not run themselves. If the Atma leaves a body behind or drops it, it would atrophy and die. Brains, the purpose of a brain in a human body is not to imagine. That's not its function, contrary to popular belief, perhaps. It has a multifaceted function to run the complex nature of a human nervous system. And there are different centers in the brain through which the Atma, you, the real being, pushes buttons to run things. And that's done through the pineal gland in the center of the brain. When you put your body to sleep at night, it's a complex process that requires that the pineal gland secretes serotonin and melatonin's made, and it basically puts the body in a trance state of sleep with the lungs working, heart working, blood circulating while you leave it. There is a certain link to it of a pure hue energy between the core of your being and that pineal gland that cannot be severed by anything psychic, nor golden or astral cords or any of that stuff. And there's a certain protection that goes along with a person. When the hue crosses their path, they begin to make the return journey to the source they came from long ago, before they were made to forget everything. And that is not reversible. This was set up this way so a person can begin to recover who they are, even while living out a life on earth. All I'm doing is tuning into a sound I hear out beyond the earth. beyond this physical body. And I'm connecting to it. It is a pure energy. It has no covert nature. It's not a tyrant. It can't stab you in the back. It isn't its nature. It's like going into the hue is the way the source behind all life may see you for the first time in billions of years, meaning many lifetimes on many levels of heaven, many worlds, to get you to the point where you could begin to want to know the source and your own reason for existing by direct experience. You must leap beyond belief in order to do this. It is natural for many beings on many worlds in the Milky Way galaxy and others to know how to leave their bodies consciously, practically from birth, because their planetary cultures, people, and governments encourage this. And this is normal for them. Earth people have a lot of catching up to do to walk in those shoes, but they can do it. They are going to need help, massive amounts of help from other worlds, to turn this world around from its self-destructive direction. They cannot do it on their own. People on Earth have proven they cannot do it on their own, and I don't think they're meant to. We are meant to experience grand and vast, wondrous life beyond Earth to help us take the next step, just like it was given to those worlds long ago by other races. So I do the hue to help you get your body in the trance state. You each put it in every night anyway, without thought or effort. And then you listen to my voice. We go on a journey for your benefit beyond the Earth's atmosphere through our creative imagination, which is the only way we can travel beyond any reality to any world or any dimension. People are not taught this on Earth, so they do not utilize it this way in any conscious manner for the most part. Just like daydreaming, when you imagine being on a ski trip or at the beach or somewhere other than a classroom you're bored with when you're growing up, daydreaming, the part of you that sees somewhere else when you're looking at the blackboard and being in a classroom, and your mind wanders, as the term is sometimes used, isn't the brain or body that's doing that. It's seeing the blackboard and what's surrounding you through the light that's coming through the eyes. Physical eyes can only see a small spectrum of the frequency of energy that's out there. That's why the void of space, which is not a void, packed full of radiant white golden light, appears black to people who see it in photographs from Hubble and other things, because the human eyes cannot detect or perceive higher frequencies. Therefore, when we get above the Earth, outside of our bodies, which, as I remind you, you do every night anyway, you can see the universe for what it really is. The Atma, the spherical you, the soul, sees this energy, can perceive it, and it has a sound quality or essence to it as well. Imagine being near the ceiling of wherever you live, looking down on your body. You are spherical. You may not perceive this right now this way, but just imagine it, just like you're daydreaming and you're seeing your body sitting there with the eyes closed, hopefully, or laying down comfortably. And that body's going to sleep, but you are staying conscious. It's the telepathic nature of the hue and what it does. We're really connecting into the first sound behind all creation. It's still out there in the void of space, and it moves up in higher rates of vibration as one power, one sound, up through the various parallel dimensions, up through the astral emotional plane, up through the higher heavens that people have talked about on Earth, up through the void, which some people think is the end and be all of eternity and isn't, and higher up than that, into the upper realities. Imagine being in 10,000 feet up in the atmosphere, in the clouds of your planet, wherever you are on Earth. It can be day or night, but you will seem to radiate a light around you. So it'll appear like daylight, even though you know it's night. And you can see the stars even through the clouds. And you look down and you can see right through your roof and see you hovering at the same moment above that body near the ceiling. And you look around you at 10,000 feet and you realize you're not alone. There is a man and a woman about 36 standing to each side of you, not from Earth, human, handsome, beautiful, about 36, perfectly healthy. And then you look up above their head and you see, and they're standing in the atmosphere, and you see a sphere of energy glowing. And one of this man holds up this mirror, he just pulls it out of existence and shows it to you. And you can see your physical form there, about 36, looks like your physical body, but perfectly healthy. It's energy. And above that, you see you, a sphere hovering there. These are kind of guides from other worlds that have learned how to help people get rid of and give up subconscious negative drives. They are simply here to assist you if you request it. And you see me hovering there beside you or behind you or off in the distance a little bit, holding my right hand up in greeting and kindness. And these two, this couple, holds their right hand up. You would be wise to do the same thing in return. If you ask it of them, they will help each of you when you're out of your body every night to remember who you are in what you would call eternity and what you're capable of knowing and recalling, what your purpose for existing is all about. And that is simple. It is to be a trustworthy, conscious co-creator with the source behind all life on all the multidimensional levels of the vast multiverse. This is our purpose for existing. We are meant to find and be inspired to imagine new ways of doing things for the uplifting benefit of all life, to bring it back to the source and download it, so to speak. If we don't like the way Earth is, bitching about it will not do a damn thing. Pardon my language. Doing something about it with your imagination, with this one source, this energy behind all life that things float in, like planets and moons and galaxies and suns, can change our reality. Be out in space with these same guides. I'm there, Perry's there. And we are far outside the atmosphere of planet Earth. You can see the polar ice caps, the beautiful oceans, the land masses. You don't see cities from here. And you can see the barren moon with no oxygen atmosphere. Moving around the planet, does not turn on its axis, covered with meteor craters. And people think that's normal because they don't know any better on Earth. It is not. So this moon always shows us the same face. And out in the distance, you can see the yellow sun. And around you, you see the billions of stars that surround us, all around us, that make up the Milky Way galaxy. Blue giants, yellow suns like our star, and red dwarfs, and they fill the galaxy. You can see them suspended in an energy that is between and behind all things. It's a white golden light, and those things are floating in it. And you hear a sound coming from the energy around us. You hear this as the spherical being. You also have a body form that looks to be about 36, which is a projection of pure energy. It looks just like you. And it hears this. This is so you can show others who and what you are in some physical representation. But you're really this sphere, this Atma, this soul. And you can hear a sound coming from it that sounds like roaring thunder. but even and gentle. It's soothing and uplifting, not what you would think in being frightened by it booming on earth, but a deep humming. And you can hear the sound of something higher, far away. And it sounds like millions of men and women's voices singing the hue on multiple levels, perfect vocal cords in perfect harmony. It's awesome. And then it blends into one whole round tone. And you see a shaft of golden white light appear, coming through an opening in the fabric of space above you. There is a friend of mine who is always present in these journeys, named Ambassador Turellian. He is human from the Say race extraterrestrial race, most ancient. We get our genomes and our genes from them originally. Human beings did not evolve on Earth. They didn't evolve in the Milky Way or Andromeda galaxies either. They evolved out in other realities and other galaxies long ago and were brought to this galaxy in times, eons past. The Saras were responsible for bringing into creation body forms with higher capability to channel higher faculties of the Atma, you, until they became spacefaring races. Then the Saras vanished to see what we would do with it. Consider them caretakers. And Turellian is 18 foot tall, which means he's showing you a body form, perfectly healthy, about 36, but much taller than us. And there is a spherical Atma, him, hovering above it. His long, slightly wavy blonde hair, slightly pointed ears like an elf, beautiful, bigger than human blue eyes, a white tunic kind of thing. He looks like a Greek god, and he's got his two thumbs up. There's a white golden light in a sphere around each one that's brighter than the white golden light around it, because he's bringing an energy from a higher reality here and creating a safe space, a protected energy field in which we can be above and outside the atmosphere of Earth and not have any negative emotion or imagination. That's turned off. It's back with the physical body asleep for now. And he is showing you or demonstrating a form that he had over 1 billion years ago. They have more strands of DNA than we do in the form when it was around. What he's showing you is what his body looked like before his race immortalized those forms, not in the sense of making them live forever at 36, but in the sense that they dematerialized the molecular nature, the DNA, and stored it in a teardrop, a single faculty, in one of the layers of the spherical being that they are. When they want to use a body for whatever purpose, they will draw from the white golden light around us, fill that DNA, and manifest it instantly, carry out a mission, and then store it again. They do not have the problem of the burden of running physical bodies around all day long. So he is here as a kind of a guide, and you can see a shaft of white golden light coming down in the center of a circle. He's standing just to the left of it. And up above it, you see an opening like a doorway, a circular energy moving around this shaft of white golden light. And we're going to move inside it. Turellian first, he moves in it and then asks us all to join him. So all we're doing, the group of us on this journey, wherever you may be on Earth, and several men and women that each are standing to each side of you, who are like guides. They do not interfere in your free will. They do not read your thoughts. They are there telepathically in a pure way to help you remember who you are. They go with you to make sure you don't carry any negative emotions or imagination with you on this journey. So we move into this field of light, this shaft of light. You can hear the sound increase of these men and women's voices singing the hue, intensifying. But you're safe. And as we enter it, you realize you're entering a shaft of light, and you appear like a small sphere of light within this big shaft of light that's moving constantly up and down, ever moving. And there's Tyrolean in the center. Several other master teachers I know of, which I'll describe for you. One is Ramu, short cropped black beard, curly hair, maroon robe. He's holding a crystal staff in his right hand, 6 feet tall. It's made of quartz. It's glowing. It's a device. It's what he carries so people will recognize who he is. On the top of it is like a symbol for eternity with a vertical oval hole in the center of an oval. And Egyptian, I think it means eternal life. And he's just simply holding this, standing off to the left of Tyrolean. Off to the right is another master teacher named Opelum. And he's about 6 feet tall with jet black hair, slightly grayed temples, beautiful emerald green eyes, slightly pointed ears, pale blue skin, like ivory, like moonstone. And he's holding up his hand, and there are little webs between the fingers. And he lifts his head, and you see 3 little slits, and these are gills. This is a human being, a form he's showing you he has on his homeworld. It is energy made up from the spherical being hovering above him. He's showing you. This is a very ancient being. And on his world, it's mostly water covered. This human race evolved the ability to breathe on water or under the ocean, to believe under the ocean or breathe on land. They have one of the most evolved crystal-based sciences in many galaxies. This is his spiritual form, let's say. And he's pointing upward. And you look up this shaft of white golden light, and we're suddenly shot upward at tremendous speed. The next thing you see around you is a beautiful, bright cobalt blue atmosphere everywhere. And when you look down, you can see down this shaft of light, and you can see we are still hovering as spheres with a physical form around Tyrolean in space outside the Earth with its polar ice caps, barren moon, and sun in the distance. And then that vanishes. We are now beyond the void known to certain esoteric groups on Earth. We are beyond the first plane of the Atma, which is run by a being named Satnam, means true name, true sound, first word. And you can see him standing by a fountain down through this, whatever it is you're looking at, looks like a big floating landmass, circular, with a luminous white beach surrounding it, many, many miles in circumference. And you see 6 mountain peaks, snow-covered, down below where your feet are. And you can look right through this landmass and see a being with his right hand up, standing by a 100-foot circular marble floor and a fountain with a statue of himself in it. There's a reason for this. Bronzed of skin, bald head, about 36, 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare feet. He's very muscular. He's just saying he knows you're there. Then he vanishes, and you look down and you can see these 6 mountain peaks. You look out into the horizon and you can see this huge floating landmass, a luminous white radiant beach surrounding it. And off to the left of one of the mountains towards the west is a blue glass-like administration tower, smooth as glass, transparent, with a flattened spherical area, administration area that goes up to a minaret point. There's a fountain identical inside it as that of where Satnam is, but there's no statue of him here, just a white shaft of golden light coming down through the minaret point of this administration tower, filling this scalloped white alabaster type stone with this radiant light that pours over the edges in a smooth, even sheet and vanishes down the shaft of this tower. And from here, you can see little white roadways extending straight as an arrow from the circumference of this white marble floor from which this tower extends, that goes in every direction like spokes of a bicycle tire, straight through these beautiful botanical paradises until they end on the white beach. They go into tunnels under the 6 mountains. They go into a hollowed out interior of it. You can see it with a huge white golden light running up and down it, and out through tunnels out the other side, straight as an arrow to end on the beach. The entire circumference. When you look to the east, the eastern mountain, north, south, west, east, the white roadway that's perfectly dividing this sphere in half of this landmass ends on the beach. Find yourself with Turelian hovering in a circle above the beach area, and off to the right, just before the white roadway ends on this white sand, is a clearing. And that clearing goes down a white marble floor, and you're starting to observe things as if you're walking on this floor in this perfect body you have. It looks to be about 36. You know you were a sphere running it, and you see these booths, the left and the right, and people are displaying unique devices and inventions and art that uplifts you when you see it, and they're smiling at you. This place we are in is called the U Expansion Ray Academy, and it is a training facility for the Atma, you, to remember who you are. And now in the distance, as we walk through these left and right of these booths displaying these different, some are toys, but they radiate light. Some are working with animals, and you can see them speaking with the animals. The animals are talking to them with vocal cords. You can see an Atma hovering above those animals, and an Atma hovering above the human form that's talking with them. This is not Earth. These people are learning how to respect all life and the Atma that runs all life, because an Atma runs all animals, an individual Atma. People on Earth do not remember this yet. Are meant to be custodians or caretakers of lower mammalian and other life form. And obviously, people on Earth are not caring for their world and have long forgotten the importance of it. So this is about remembering who we are, that is not now nor has ever been a physical body. Then you see in the distance a clearing and a huge arena full of a green light. It's the size of a soccer stadium. You find yourself suddenly hovering in it with Turelian and myself in a circle around Turelian. In the middle of it, there's this giant silver tree. They're located in different teaching facilities in the Hugh Expansionary Academy. This one comes out of this green floor, but it has silver needles like silver metal. It's gigantic, many stories high, and it's glowing. And you become fascinated by a single needle on a lower branch, and each one of you begin to look in that needle, and in the needle you can see mirrored in it through a clear glass-like radiant light, you can see a planet and stars somewhere in the lower universes that single needle connects to. At other times, this facility is used where a golden sphere of light is created, and then people begin to create new ways of doing things collectively together in it. Here, people are telepathically in communication with each other. People co-create new ways of doing things here for the benefit of all life. Not just life on Earth, all life in the grand multidimensional creation. If you wish to, you can go right into that needle and find yourself hovering above that planet or that group of planets or above a galaxy somewhere in the lower dimensions of time and space. You will experience several other beings with you, kind of as guides to make sure you're safe, usually one male, one female in appearance, but it's the Atma that's hovering above them, just like you. And if you talk with them, they'll point out what the galaxy is or where you are. Just listen. You're actually there instantly. They're going to teach you more about what this is and how this works when you put your body back on Earth to sleep at night, this very night, if you wish them to. You find yourself outside the tree with Turelian looking at it. Then you find yourself hovering above the Hugh Expansion Ray Academy, looking down on the 6 snow-covered mountain peaks. And you can see down in the center of the valley between these 6 mountains is a single spherical blue, kind of cobalt blue glass of light. Looks like a sphere of crystal. There's a radiant, bright star in the middle of it. It's hovering about a foot above a rectangular, vertical, blue stone with gold polished in it, like lapis lazuli. That's the name of the stone. You can look it up. And you can see that it is sitting on a white circular island surrounded by a luminous blue-green lake. Everything here creates its own light. When you look up at the sky and you look all around this floating landmass, everything is a cobalt blue light. You look behind the blue light and you see a white golden light supporting it. The blue is for recall and remembering as an Atma. And then, as you look into this light, you realize that there are no suns, no moons, no stars, no planets here. This is an energy field that's maintained by beings. What you see here is mocked up and maintained by beings, and it is a teaching facility. It's called the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It was brought into existence between the fifth and sixth plane above the void a little more than 8 or 9 years ago, give or take Earth time, and did not exist here in eternity before this. It's about bringing into reality a new energy to change and retire the old experiment of evil and good by replacing it with an energy that motivates beings to only use their imagination to create new ways of doing things for the uplifting benefit of all life, not just life on Earth, all life in the grand multidimensional creation. Therefore, we are required to become aware of what that life is, and we are required to respect it and each other. If we want freedom, this is required. And then the doors to that open. When you look down through this blue star into this sphere, you find yourself in the middle of the star, looking out at the radiant exterior of this explosive, like a sun. And you see a shaft of white golden light coming down into it, charging it. You look down, and you're moving down this shaft of light at tremendous speed until you stop. And you realize you are hovering in space around Torellian and others, looking on the polar ice caps and oceans and land masses of Earth and the barren moon and the sun, where you were at the beginning of this journey, outside the negative atmosphere of planet Earth as it is right now. It's not destined to stay that way. And then you find yourself hovering above your body near the ceiling back on Earth where you live. You can see, just in your imagination, that you have a physical form you're running on 5 other higher dimensions below the void. We went beyond the void. There's an astral, causal, mental, etheric, and physical, and you're running a physical life in each one of those as a single spherical being. And you can see that those body forms, however you imagine them to be, are aware now of each other. And you are sending this energy of this experience from the Hue Expansion Ray Academy into all of them. It's going down through all of them, cooperating, and then it goes into the top of your head and the body that's with the eyes closed, sitting or sleeping or laying down. And then it goes out through the brain, brightens things up, turns on brain cells, and continues in a widening sphere up to 2 miles beyond your physical body where you live. It sets a parameter, and then it continues out into the world and back out into space. It eventually goes through pyramidal structures stationed between stars in our Milky Way galaxy and is returned to where we just came from. You must download this kind of experience into the brain and body that's asleep consciously in order for it to remember or be benefited by this journey. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Okay. Thank you for the journey.
You know, a long time ago, I decided, I was thinking about whether I should even publicly take journeys, go on journeys above the void. But if I don't, who will on Earth? And if I don't, people won't remember the most important thing they need to remember, which is how they existed before they came across that void, which is a barrier, into the lower planes of time and space and forgot everything. So it's good in the hue to bring people back to a place of co-creative freedom, at least for a short time, because that energy coming back through this form on Earth begins to change it for the better. This is something that people need to experience for themselves. I don't do it to them. They do it in cooperative harmony with the one energy behind all life. This is really interesting and fascinating. It's fun to watch people begin to remember.
Yeah, to remember, Scott, I would recommend people to read your 2 books and listen to our radio shows and go on many journeys. A simple way to do.
That's the series agenda. If you see that ship, it's a mile long, double-ended control rooms on each other with an anti-gravitic light around its hull. Those are disc-shaped craft. They're scout vehicles, 3 semispheric pods underneath. Those are the ice rings that make up the rings of the planet Saturn, and that's Saturn in our solar system. This is on the cover as originally created artwork for this book because this ship is stationed there permanently in our solar system. It's a form of protection, both to keep tyrants out of our system now from the stars and to make sure we don't go play out there with negative intent of any kind. And that's about what's taking place in revealed hidden truth out among the stars that never happened before. And it's moving this way. Earth is next. This is the Emerald Doorway. Remember, I described in the beginning what we look like as an individual being, or Atma. Spherical. In the Emerald Doorway, this is a journey that takes place 100,000 years ago out in our solar system, out in the galaxy, and then on Earth. This is just after the poles have flipped, destroying Lemuria, most of Atlantis, which was a colony at the time. And that means the land masses sank and the sea floors rose up. Quite a violent affair. This is a master teacher, someone who is with us on the journey tonight with his device, his staff. Has that ankh on top of it, if you can just make it out. This is a human male from another planet, a human female with webbed fingers. She's the daughter of the other master teacher with pale blue skin I introduced. They're on anti-gravitic discs hovering above the ocean, the new land masses. This is Ete. He's a Dren. He's silica-based from another world, and he has the natural ability to fly and levitate through the air when his tail glows like crystal opal in bright sunlight. He has a photographic memory, big bulbous blue eyes, dexterous hands and feet like a human, can walk on all fours or fly through the air. And he's telepathic and has a photographic memory. He is not from Earth. He's also a master teacher. This is the Ancient One, or what the source behind all life presents to people when you go there. Each of these beings, these 3, other than this master teacher, has one of these hovering above them. And at this point in the story, they do not know that yet. He's introducing them. This has come down through the 5th reality, above the void. We went higher than this on our journey today. And that's his craft just hovering stationary in space. So this original artwork was created for this, the first of 3 written books. This is the first published one in that series. And it's more about extraterrestrial involvement on Earth more than 100,000 years ago. The 2 books together, special techniques, which are included in the back of this, will assist you, if you wish it, to open doorways into revealing and recovering hidden truth and who and what you are. But you have to work with them. They work with the hue sound to connect you to the bigger God, let's put it that way, safely. Okay, Perry, I'll have the primary website up on her this recording of this journey. And I guess, Perry, you'll put it up on your YouTube channel. We can
Yes.
hit truth when you're ready.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Any questions you think for people that know you or your channel or?
I just want to share this, Scott. I remember who I am in different lifetimes by reading these two books and go on many journeys and by doing these radio shows. And I think this is the way that people who listen to our show can remember who they are too by doing the same things.
They won't be alone. There are kind, wonderful beings from other worlds and other dimensions and master teachers who tune into you when you do the hue for your benefit. They're not interested in ruling your life or running your planet, but they are interested in having you remember who you are while you're running that body on Earth and what your co-creative part is with the source behind all life. That is their focus and intent. Okay.
Okay, so everyone, thank you for watching. If you like, please thumb up, subscribe, and share our show.
Thanks
So
for
see you
having the,
next time.
Perry, thanks for having the courage to do it.
Thank
Again,
you to you too.
people are going to find they have innate courage surface that neutralizes fear as they start working with the hue more and more. It's just a phenomenon. They're going to notice it. It's their experience, not mine. So I will wish you all pleasant dreams.
See you next time.
See you next time.